The Forgotten Manhattan Fortune. Margaret O'Connell had taught English literature to New York City public school kids for 43 years. She knew every trick a student could pull to avoid a paper, every excuse for missing class, and every tremor in a voice that said, "I'm lying." She also knew with the certainty of a woman who had graded thousands of essays when her own daughter was lying. The lie came on a Tuesday in October, over the phone while Margaret waited in the clinic on East 96th for her annual checkup. "Mom, we're moving to the Hamptons full-time," Vanessa said, voice bright as the Midtown billboards. "The brownstone sold yesterday, and I traded in your old Buick for something more practical. The money's already in escrow for the new place. You'll love it. Ocean views, no stairs. We'll pick you up Friday." The line went dead before Margaret could ask which ocean, which stairs, or why her name had been on the deed since 1978. She sat on the cracked vinyl bench between a coughing teenager and a man reading the Post upside down, annoyed staring at the phone like it might sprout fangs. 43 years of marriage to Daniel O'Connell. 43 years of summers in that brownstone. 43 years of raising Vanessa on Subway tokens and bodega coffee. And it was gone in 90 seconds. The doctor said her blood pressure was fine. Margaret nodded, paid the copay with exact change, and took the M96 crosstown bus home to an empty sidewalk where her car used to be. The brownstone on West 118th looked smaller without her things. The new owners, some tech couple from Seattle, had already ripped out the oak banister Daniel installed the year Vanessa learned to walk. Margaret stood on the stoop with a paper grocery bag of clothes the movers left behind. 3 cardigans, 2 nightgowns, 1 photo of Daniel in his NYPD dress blues. She took a room at the Sunset Lodge on Amsterdam, a senior residence that smelled of bleach and canned peas. The rent ate half her pension. The other half bought Metro cards and instant oatmeal. Vanessa texted once, "Settled in Sag Harbor. You'll love the guest cottage. Kiss O, kiss O." Margaret didn't reply. 3 nights later, insomnia drove her to the dresser in room 3B. Daniel's old habit, leaving just-in-case envelopes, had always amused her. She found one wedged behind a false panel he'd built during a 1995 renovation. Inside, a key, a flash drive, and a note in his neat cop handwriting. "Peggy, if you're reading this, I'm gone and you're mad. Good. Open the drive when you're ready. Love, D." She borrowed the night manager's ancient Dell. The drive held spreadsheets, deeds, brokerage statements, numbers that made her blink twice. 100% ownership of 203 West 118th Street, the brownstone, via an LLC named Harlem Haven Holdings. A condo on East 72nd, rented to a UN diplomat. A commercial loft in DUMBO, triple net lease to a startup. Minus Vanguard accounts totaling $4.2 million. A safe deposit box at Chase on 86th, contents, for emergencies. Margaret printed everything at the 24-hour Kinko's on Broadway, hands shaking so hard the clerk asked if she needed a chair. She started small. A burner phone. A visit to Miriam Klein, Esquire, a former student now practicing trusts and estates in Midtown. Miriam's eyes widened at the documents.
"Mrs. O'Connell, your husband built a quiet empire. The brownstone sale. Forged power of attorney. We can void it in 72 hours. Do it," Margaret said, but quietly. "And bill me later." Miriam hesitated. "You could crush them in court." "I don't want them crushed. I want them educated." Phase 1, Reclaim. The brownstone reverted to Harlem Haven Holdings before the tech couple finished unpacking crate and barrel. They received polite notices and full refunds. Vanessa never knew her mother pulled the strings. Phase 2, Watch. Vanessa's Hamptons dream unraveled fast. The practical trade-in for Margaret's Buick, a leased Porsche that vanished when payments bounced. The Sag Harbor house, bought with escrow from the brownstone, went into foreclosure when the bank discovered the deed was fraudulent. Vanessa's husband, Trevor, a hedge fund VP, lost his bonus in a crypto implosion. They moved to a studio in Bushwick. Margaret volunteered at the 125th Street Library, shelving books, listening. Word traveled. Vanessa was temping at a Soho gallery, Trevor bartending in Williamsburg. They'd stopped posting sunsets. Phase 3, the return. January, a blizzard. The Sunset Lodge's heat sputtered. Margaret sat in the common room, knitting a scarf she didn't need when the doorbell buzzed. Vanessa stood in the lobby, snow in her hair, cheeks hollow. No designer coat, no Trevor. Mom, voice cracked like thin ice. Can we talk? They took the tiny elevator to 3B. Vanessa's eyes flicked over the narrow bed, the hot plate, the single window facing a brick wall. I messed up, she whispered. We lost everything. Trevor left. I have nowhere. Margaret poured tea from a thermos. Drink. Vanessa obeyed, hands trembling. I sold your home. Your car. I thought. She stopped. I thought you'd be better off without the burden. Margaret let the silence stretch until it hurt. You thought I was the burden. Vanessa flinched. She stayed. Slept on the fold-out chair. Took the 4 a.m. shift cleaning offices in Midtown. Same buildings where she once attended galas. Margaret kept the secret, paid the rent quietly through Miriam, and watched her daughter learn the city from its underbelly. Spring came. Cherry blossoms on Riverside Drive. Vanessa brought home her first paycheck, $312 after taxes, and insisted on groceries. She cooked spaghetti with jar sauce, apologizing for the lack of parmesan. Margaret ate 2 helpings. One night, Vanessa found the flash drive in Margaret's underwear drawer. Mom, this is the brownstone, the condo, everything tears. You knew, since October. You let me scrub toilets. You let me lose my home. Vanessa sank to the linoleum. I'm sorry, wasn't enough, but it was a start. Phase 4, reckoning. Miriam's office, 42nd floor, view of Bryant Park. Vanessa wore her old interview suit, now loose at the waist. Margaret wore the navy dress she saved for parent-teacher nights. Miriam laid out the empire like a deck of cards. Vanessa's mouth opened, closed. You're rich? Your father was cautious, Margaret said. He remembered the 87 crash, the 08 crash. He wanted us safe, if the world tilted. Vanessa stared at the DUMBO loft deed. I sold your house for pennies. You sold our house, but it's back, and so are you. Vanessa's voice broke. I don't deserve. You'll earn it. Starting today. The rules were simple. 1. Vanessa kept the cleaning job, 3 nights a week. 2. She enrolled in night classes at Hunter for nonprofit management. 3. Every month, she contributed to a fund for displaced Harlem tenants. Seed money from the brownstone rents. 4th Sunday dinners at the brownstone, which Margaret moved back into, alone at first. Vanessa took the subway from Bushwick. Summer, the brownstone's garden, once Daniel's tomato patch, bloomed with zinnias. Vanessa arrived with soil under her nails from a community plot in Red Hook. I have news, she said, setting grocery bags on the counter. The gallery offered me a manager position, full-time. Benefits. Margaret raised an eyebrow. And the cleaning? I'm keeping 1 shift. Reminds me who I was. They ate on the stoop, fireflies blinking above the steps Daniel built. Vanessa pulled an envelope from her purse. From Trevor. Divorce papers. He's in Bali with a crypto influencer. Margaret snorted. Good riddance. Vanessa laughed. First real laugh in a year. Mom, I want to do something with the Dumbo loft. A residency for artists priced out of the city. Low rent. Mentorship. Your name on the plaque, Margaret considered. Daniel would have liked that. But half the spots go to public school kids. Art scholarships, deal. Fall again. The brownstone smelled of cinnamon. Vanessa's first attempt at Daniel's apple pie recipe. The table was set for 6. Margaret, Vanessa, Miriam, 2 Hunter students on scholarship, and Mrs. Delgado from the Sunset Lodge, who still couldn't believe Margaret wasn't broke. Vanessa raised a glass of $2 chuck to Dad for hiding the treasure and to Mom for making me dig for it. Margaret clinked her glass. To second drafts, every story gets one. Later, washing dishes side by side, Vanessa nudged her mother. You know, I always hated your red pen corrections. Now I get it. Margaret dried a plate. Some lessons need margins. Years later, the Daniel and Margaret O'Connell Artist Residency opened in DUMBO. The dedication plaque read, "For those who lost their way home and found a harder, truer path back." Vanessa, now director, gave the speech. She wore the navy dress Margaret saved for special occasions. Hem let out to fit her new frame. Margaret sat in the front row, knitting a scarf she didn't need, eyes shining. When Vanessa finished, the room applauded. Margaret stood, slow but steady, and hugged her daughter in front of strangers who would never know the whole story. But they felt it. In the brownstones restored banister, in the garden tomatoes, in the way 2 women, teacher and student, mother and daughter, had rewritten their ending, one honest paragraph at a time. Outside, Manhattan kept tilting. Inside, they were finally firmly on solid ground.